You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Right. I think when I was younger, I took much bigger leaps. I know I did.
Oh. Out of ignorance or choice or conscious choice?
Ignorance is bliss, baby. A mixture of both. Because you don't know any better.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Was It Chance, the podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risk for your creative life. I'm Heather Vickery.
And I'm Alan Seals. You pointed at me when you said that, so I was like, all right, I guess it's my cue. Heather and I started off as two perfect strangers. I forgot that was my next line. Who met by chance and embraced opportunity. Listen in as we chat with other successful people about the risks they've taken to put themselves on a path to creative success. Heather, who is our guest today?
Yeah. You guys, we are welcoming Steve Silverman today. Steve is, and I usually write a bio for people, but Steve's bio was so good. We're just going with what he sent because it's well done, friend. You can tell you're a writer, director, and producer. Steve is critically acclaimed, award-winning writer, director, producer. His work has been called Sly by the Los Angeles Times, which is his all-time favorite single-word review. Whew. Theater includes All About Steve. That wasn't in the bio. That was just, me getting excited. Okay, whatever.
All right.
Theater includes All About Steve. It's not a one-man show, but a twist on the classic film All About Eve. His horror comedy, 666 Westbourne Drive, and his musical mashups, I love these, Jesus Christ Superstar Wars, and The King and I Know What You Did Last Summer. Speaking of the force, he's the force behind the one-woman show festival, 15 Minutes of FEM, and the stand-up comedy show Slideshow. To eat and get health insurance. I love this part. Steve is an award-winning writer, producer, director. That's to eat and get health insurance. The rest of it's for fun, whatever. In the world of on-air promotions, where he's worked for Fox, ABC, CBS, NBC, Bravo, several ad agencies, and most recently Hulu. Wow. He's directed Whoopi Goldberg, Reba McEntire, Mindy Kaling, Zooey Deschanel, the original Fab Five from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, and more. Steve's just finished the first draft of his new novel. It's a cozy murder mystery. And you can hear him weekly on his podcast, World Gone Good, where he talks to everyday people like me. He interviewed me, making good here on planet Earth. Whoa, Steve, welcome to Was It Chance?
Thanks for having me.
That's the most fun bio I have read from somebody in a long time.
What's a cozy murder mystery? Like, how do you
I actually know
snuggle
what
up
that is.
under a blanket with your loved one and talk about murder?
Well, a cozy is where we don't have any, blood and guts and slashing and too much of violence. It's more like, we found the dead body. I wonder who did it. That's that. It's very it's Agatha Christie would be cozy mystery writer, believe it or not. And my favorite shows, Heart to Heart, Remington Steele, all the old classics.
Yes. It's softcore mystery.
Exactly.
Not hardcore mystery. To put it in terms that Alan will understand.
Okay, I understand. I understand those. I understand that. So actually, I don't know how the two of you know each other. So enlighten me and our listeners as to your past, because our intro is how you and I met, Heather. And Steve, you and I met just minutes ago.
And immediately started talking about the wood behind them.
Yes, we each have wood, and my wood is softer than his wood. It seems it just happens. So how did you two meet? And what's your
was it by chance?
What is the chance that led you two together?
Well, there was a murder.
It was cozy.
Go ahead, Steve.
I think we met on Twitter, and I think actually, if I remember right, you responded to a chain of tweets from my really good friend, true friend, Faith Saley from CBS Sunday Morning, if I remember right, or something like, I could have sworn it was her. And then we started talking, and then I followed you, I checked you out, and we were liking each other's things back and forth. And And I just appreciated that you had really good days like me. And then you have other days there on Heather where you're just like, the world has come to an end. I hate everyone. I'm like, oh my God, you're the same person.
It's true. And I do sort of let all of that fly in two places, Twitter and TikTok. And so I'll go to Twitter and be like, today is not the day and I am not the person. Like, let's just get that out of the way, right? And then I'm all like, morning. Hey, y'all, take a deep breath, stop your scroll, feel good, tell me something good. So yes, we are similar in that way.
And I do a podcast where I have people have an idea of me that I am this like happy all the time, Hallmark card writing, good person who helps little old ladies across the street. But really, I'm a human being and I'm just like, fuck you, old lady. You shouldn't have left your house.
It's her own damn fault.
You're going to get along with the two of us just fine, Steve.
I know, because I think people already, people get shocked about that with me. And I'm like, I get gassy and I get annoyed that I'm I'm normal-ish.
Yeah.
I get gassy when I help old ladies across the street.
Oh my God.
And rightfully
the one thing
so.
I didn't want to do today was talk about either of you being gassy, actually.
Well, here
would
we
you
are.
rather go back to the density of our wood?
No, I would not. How about this one? Steve, that's a really cool bio. And you've done a lot. And we are almost exactly the same age. We figured this out when I was on your show. The episode is not out yet. It's going to come out in a couple of weeks. How did you end up in this writer, producer, director world? What chance did you take?
So I was graduating college in 1992 and I lined up a job at my university, a great paying job. It even came with its own little apartment. And I was going to take it. I was like, this great job. It starts right when I graduate. And then my friend said to me, after I accepted the job, she said, hey, there's these internships out that we can get into in LA and we should interview for them. So we went and interviewed for these internships and we interviewed with a couple soap operas, a couple game shows, and a couple talk shows, because it was back in the day, the day being 1992, when in the summer, everybody was on repeats, right? And there was no Hulu and there was no streaming, right? So we had to, the only things that were live or being shot at the time, talk shows, judge shows, news, soap operas, game shows. And so we came out here, interviewed for a few things. We got an interview with the soap opera General Hospital, among many other places. And the next thing I know, I was given an offer along with my friend to be an unpaid intern at the soap General Hospital for the summer of 1992. And I told a full paying job that I had already accepted with a free place to live on campus that my dream was to be a writer and I can't just stay here. Like, as much as great as it sounded, time for me to fly. And that was probably the first big chance I took of, I would say I had about $3,000 in a savings account and my own car. And I graduated on a Saturday night and we drove out Sunday morning to LA and we started in Port Charles, New York, the fictitious town of General Hospital on Monday morning. And that's, I mean, you talk about chances. Insane.
That's a
but I was 22.
Risk. Yeah. But even at 22, you got to pay the bills.
Yes, and that is why I got a job at the farmer's market selling T-shirts, and I also had a second job as a waiter in this really posh, fancy restaurant in Los Feliz, or Los Feliz, however anyone wants to say it. And I somehow got by, but something interesting happened from there. I'll tell you really quick. The casting director's assistant, Gwen Hillier, unfortunately, her father, I think, either got sick or passed away, and she had to go home for the summer. And I'm in the hallway making $0. It's about 3 weeks into the $0 job that I'm enjoying and loving every minute because it's a TV show, right? It's happening, a new episode every day we're filming. And the casting director, Mark Teschner, walks up to me in the hallway. He says, hey, come in my office. Go in his office. He goes, so Gwen has to go back to New York for the summer. And it was June. He said, can you work the next 3 months? Can you handle my desk? And I said, yeah. And I figured this was part of the internship. And then he says, and guess what he wants to pay me in 1992?
I'm dying to know.
$15 an hour in 1992.
Whoa. That was a lot of money. Hell,
that's $1
million.
Can't we
get that in half the states in the country right now? Wow,
it was a lot. It was a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
So I quit one of the 2 jobs. I quit the t-shirt job, but I kept the nighttime waitering job. And that was my first job in LA.
See, I love that. And I love that when you, listen, I can't say that this always happens, but I think it often happens. When you follow your passion, when you follow the thing that is most true to you, things work out. The universe conspires on your behalf.
I agree 100%.
When you
100%.
were in that scenario at 22, I mean, was this something that you saw yourself doing for many, many years, or was it just sort of something where you're like, I will just take this chance and see where it leads me, or this is the beginning of the rest?
I knew I wanted to come to Hollywood, to LA. I was terrified. You know, I grew up in a small town in New Jersey called Randolph, New Jersey. I went to the University of Arizona. I didn't know I had been to LA one time before with friends to, go to Disneyland and go look at the stars on Hollywood Boulevard. I had no fucking clue what I was doing. And I just sort of jumped and I took the leap. And I will tell anyone out there, leap, especially at 22. Like, that's the thing. Like, my niece graduated college, 23. She took some things happened. Anyway, she had to make up a year, but she had an opportunity to leave Phoenix, her safety net, where I'm from, and go to Philly. And I said, go, leap, go. I supported her 100%. We all did. And she's doing great. She's been there for 5 years. She is selling heroin and working 3 different corners. She works 3 different corners at night. We're so proud of her. Right. I think when I was younger, I took much bigger leaps. I know I did.
Oh.
Out of ignorance or choice or conscious choice?
Ignorance is bliss, baby. A mixture of both. Because you don't know any better.
I've heard stories so many times of people saying, if I'd known how hard it was going to be, I would have never done it, right? And then but the same people are also saying, if you don't get outside your comfort zone, if you don't feel uncomfortable, you're not growing.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly.
And I think that's the gift of youth, and then the gift of age is, like, we could say, when I was 20, if I had known this would be so hard, I wouldn't have done it. Now I'm 40 and I know it's going to be hard, and I know what I'm getting myself into, and I know it's worth it.
100%, which is why I left my job 7 months ago. So I'm the king of quitting. I think we discussed this, Heather, on my show or after. Like, I should do an entire, like, one-man show. I'm not an actor, but I could do an entire show or write a book on chapter after chapter, story after story of my greatest quitting and what happened immediately after. Because I have always said, I believe that idea that you live in a small town and there's a train. And the train is sitting there and it's waiting for people to get on, and it's waiting for you to get on, but you're not getting on the train and you're not letting the train go. You're saying, well, maybe not. But if you just either get on the fucking train and go somewhere else, or let the train go so the next train can come in. It's true in relationships. It's true in friendships. It's true in work. And to some degree, it's true in your family too. And I'm not a therapist, but that's what I've learned. It's all about trains, little old ladies, and selling heroin on street corners in Philly. We've solved the problems, everyone.
Oh, man.
Well, we got 2 out of 3 in the bag already. So.
I did this, you guys. I initiated this. I'm sorry.
You're welcome.
So I got the heroin. Let's see. Heather, you got the street corner.
Oh, I got to find a fucking train?
I have to have the street corner. Why can't Steve have the street corner?
Okay, Steve has a street corner, and you got to bring the train. Would you rather bring the train or the street corner?
I don't want to be involved. I don't want to be involved.
Too bad. This interview is happening. The train has pulled out of the station, and we are taking this opportunity to...
No, but... What you're talking about is something we talk about a lot on this show and in general, is taking risks that could lead to failure, your relationship with failure. My daughters and I talk a lot about quitting, because in a lot of places it's a really dirty word. And I don't think it is. But I think there's a difference in being a quitter versus gathering information and making a different decision. I don't want that anymore. That's not for me. I'm not thriving here. I'm not happy. I can do something different.
100%.
When is it quitting versus cutting your losses? Is that what
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Steve, what is that for you? You said you're the king of quitting, and I think that's what you mean is I've decided to do something different, maybe without a backup plan. I don't know. Like, can you speak to that?
Well, I can tell you when I was 15 years old, I joined the winter track team, which was a brilliant idea in Randolph, New Jersey, when it was like 28 degrees outside. And I thought it was a great idea for us to all run outside for 4 and 5 miles at a time. Brilliant.
Yeah.
But I wanted to try something new. I joined the winter track team. I was a gay kid who didn't quite realize he was gay. And yet apparently everybody else knew at the time. Wish someone had told me. And I was...
Probably somebody tried to.
Yeah, I'm sure. I was bullied quite a bit, and I was beaten up by team members. Really bad things happened. And I reached a point of, this isn't for me. And I talked to my dad about it. My dad said, don't quit, keep going, you're doing great. And I just said, I can't do it anymore. So I went into the coach, and I'll never forget this because I gave back my winter track, sweats and, giant hat and boots and everything.
I think straight people call that a uniform.
Thank you. A uniform. My costume, if you will. The costume they gave me. And the coach said to me only one thing. He said, winners never quit and quitters never win.
Lies.
And I looked him dead in the eye and I just said, well, I have a black eye at the moment, so I'm gonna go. And you talk about cutting your losses. I was 15 and I'm like, no, this is not healthy for me. This is not good for me. Mm-hmm. And that has gone on in my life so many times since, especially in my career. And what you said is very important is so many times in my career, I've taken the leap, either made a plan to take it, gotten another job, or just said, fuck it, I'm out of here. And I have one classic story that is unbelievable to this day what happened. But I mean, I don't know. I don't want to steal this away from you. So do you want to hear the story? Would you like the story?
Yeah, we do. We are
waiting
with bated breath.
Would you like me to name names? Would you like me to say places? Because I totally fucking will. I don't care.
Spill the tea.
Okay,
Spill the tea.
Hot
Yes,
tea, everyone. So I was working at NBC, and it was the year 2004 to 2006, and the people I was working with at that time were incredibly homophobic. They were not nice people. I was not like flaming homosexual, but I was the guy who had just come from doing Queer Eye for the Straight Guy on Bravo. So do the math, everybody. Do that new math as the kids do. I tried for
number line.
Yeah, I tried for 2 years to make that job work. And they bullied me like you would not believe. And they did things to me that were just unheard of. And I put up with it. And I reached the day because this was the NBC team. This is the team you wanted to be on. Everyone is the big network, right? And I just said, no more for me. And I wound up resigning. I gave my 2 weeks notice. They walked in and said, you can leave right now. They escorted me out with a security guard. I was thrilled. They took me to human resources. And because I had given the 2 weeks notice, everyone, they had to pay me those extra 2 weeks. I was like, yes, I got the 2 weeks. Didn't know this. Got my vacation pay, the 2 weeks they already owed me. And then they paid me sick pay. I was like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened. I didn't know I got my sick pay. Fantastic.
And I'm not being bullied. Yeah.
I'm not being bullied.
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned for more of the episode. And now we're back.
So I head to my car with the security guard who says, very nice guy. He says, I'll meet you at the gate. I go, get in the car. I'll drive you over. So I drive him over to the gate. He gets out, take my badge, flash the badge. The gate opens. I hand him my badge, fist bump. I drive out. The gate has not closed behind me. I'm waiting on the driveway for traffic to let me make a right turn. And my phone rings. And I look down and it says ABC Scott. And it is my friend from ABC Daytime, Scott. And I answer, I go, hello. And he goes, who do you know who could jump in right now on all my children for us for the rest of the summer? And I said, I'll do it. I go, I'll do it. And he goes, okay, you have a job and I can't afford you. And I go, I don't have a job as of 30 seconds ago and you can afford me. And he said, where are you? And I said, I'm leaving Literally, I just quit. I gave my notice. They asked me to leave. I turned the blinker so you can tell I'm from New York because I said blinker, everyone. I turned the blinker. I hit the blinker, the turn signal, from right to left, and I go over to ABC. He takes me to lunch. And at the end of lunch, he walks me into this woman named Valerie's office, and Valerie hires me right there on the spot. And I say to them, it was a Monday, I'll start next Monday. I kind of need the week off. And they said, okay.
Yes.
And I took that. But here's the thing. I had not even let the gate close behind me before the next thing presented itself. And would that call have already come through anyway? And would I have been in my office, miserable, being bullied, and told Scott, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do it because I like being bullied? Because that's how I talked. I don't know, that's my professional voice.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, everybody.
I'm sorry.
But I will
that is
never
a cool
forget
story.
it. And it's true. It is 100% true. And while I won't name names, I name the good people, Scott and Val over at ABC. I won't name the NBC people. They're long gone. But
And they're probably still assholes, wherever they are.
Perhaps so. But I'll never forget that. That is the leap that defied human logic.
So where, I guess, the job that you're there, I guess the role that you're filling going from company to company, is it the same thing every time, or does it like slightly, you build new skills, it slightly evolves, then you leave that one, and then or are you just, is it like a snowball rolling down a hill, or is it a boulder bouncing off of other boulders?
It started as a snowball, then I became a boulder bouncing off of other boulders. I had a very wonderful man, David Zachariah, a good friend of mine, a mentor to me, who took a chance on me in 1998. I had no background in what's called on-air promotions marketing, zero. But what he said to me is he took me to lunch and he said, I can teach you how to produce. I can teach you how to fill out forms. I can teach you how to select music. I can teach you how to license things. I can teach you how to put a graphic request in. These are all the things I do, right? He said, what I can't teach you is how to write, and you, sir, can write. And that was all based on, he read a sample of my writing that a friend of mine had seen a play of mine up. And she had me send a few pages to him. Hilariously, David, if you're listening, I love you dearly. Hilariously, I sent him 10 pages, and he actually said, because he's such a TV exec, I only read the first 2 pages. And I'm like, right, because the other... Because you didn't have 3 more minutes to read the other 8. No, but I don't know. But I was so grateful. And he said to me at the time, he said he was at the then WB network. Remember them? Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is little frog.
Mm-hmm. The Feb on the frog.
Frog mascot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Feb on the frog. That's what we used to call it for February. And fresh from the frog, Michigan J. And he said to me, he stepped over from NBC, inherited a great staff of producers, but he didn't have a strong writer. And he said, I need a writer like you. And that's where it started for me. And then from there, once you learn all the skills, you can take them anywhere. And that's what I did.
That's insanely cool, because you're just, instead of jumping off of one platform to another, you're stair-stepping up to the next thing. Yeah. And that's incredibly smart. And I guess Well, I was going to say it's incredibly fortuitous that it's happened that way, but in the concept of this podcast, how were you going through knowing that you needed to take another step up? Other than like the NBC story you told, that was an obvious exit. You got to get out of there. But for the rest of these, you're jumping from Fox to ABC to CBS and Bravo and other ad agencies,
Hulu.
And now most recently Hulu. And he's directed Whoopi Goldberg. Oh, I'm reading the bio again.
There you go again. There you go.
Yeah. So going from step to step, how do you decide when it's time to step again?
Sometimes I didn't have a choice because I was only hired as a freelancer, and sometimes it was a month-to-month thing where they'd be like, okay, we're going to pick you up for another month, or we're going to pick you up for another month. At the WB, they could only keep us for up to 11 months, and then we had to take 1 to 3 months off because of the California state rules, because otherwise they would have had to hire us and give us full benefits, because you can't keep a freelancer going that long. See, it's a whole legal thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, that sucks.
And it didn't play in their favor one time because they let me go. And CBS, again, the world works in really weird ways. I sent my blind reels out on VHS, everybody. VCRs.
Right.
And this man named Ron called me from CBS, and he said, hey, we'd like to pick you up for a bit to freelance for us. I said, great. And he said, what's your day rate? And I was like, and I was smart enough to, I was like, okay, I'm not going to say what I made at the WB. I upped it. And I made this ridiculous, like, this to this. Like, for instance, everybody, like I said, 100 to 300 a day. It was more than that. He offered me the top amount. Said, okay, we'll pay you the top amount. I was like, what? Fuck, I should have said more. But I was like, wait, what? So I started working with them. And then it was revealed much later, Ron Scalera, may he rest in peace, he has passed. He was in a hallway talking with the other Ron who hired me. And I stepped up to them, talked to them for a second, and Scalera was the head boss, and he said, oh yeah, Steve. And he turned around and he goes, hey, whatever happened to my buddy's son, Steve? And my Ron Mulligan looked at him and said, what are you talking about? I hired him, he's right here. He goes, no, this guy's great, where's my buddy's kid? And that's the moment that Ron Mulligan realized he hired the wrong Steve.
Oh, that's funny.
He was supposed to hire this other person. And he thought I was, and I go, oh my God. And it had been like 2 months in. And I thought to myself, oh, this is why you're all being so fucking nice to me. Because you think I'm the president's son's kid, whatever. But that's how it just worked out. And that's another one of those weird situations of like, how did that happen again? How was my tape sitting there?
And now you're still in that identity, assuming his life.
Oh, yeah.
And he's actually the one that got murdered in the cozy.
He is the cozy murder.
This just became a totally different podcast.
This is like, what do they call it? A cold case? A cozy cold case.
It's a cozy case.
No. Oh, wow. I mean, I don't know if it's luck or chance. I don't know what it is, but it is fascinating. So you
Was it
recently...
chance?
Was it chance?
Exactly.
I love it when we can bring that in. Was it? It obviously was. And some lucky fucking chance, because some people's chance isn't so lucky.
Yeah, look at that kid. Look at the kid who's sitting at home. Like, where that kid? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Look at that kid who's sitting at home going,
they were supposed to give me a job.
Yeah, why aren't they calling? Hey,
My
Dad, you said you knew the president. Dad. Dad, you said you knew the president.
Oh, that's so funny.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Dad, I want to play StarCraft.
You mentioned that, what'd you say? I want to say 7 months ago, but I don't know if that's right. You left Hulu. You were like, I'm not feeling
No, I
this.
left Fox, actually.
Oh, you left Fox.
Fox. I had worked for 11 years for Fox, 6 years, and then another 5 years. I took a break in the middle, and my job came back up, and I retook it in 2017, and I left them in March, yes. I left them because they went back on their word on something, and again, it was a sign to me of, okay, and it was a major thing. It was major. And the thing that went off on my head, which is, you're comfortable, you make a great salary, but are you happy being treated this way? And if I had just said, oh, that's okay, and agreed with it, then I am not the person that I am. And I'm not, as I like to say sometimes, the son of Jay Silverman, may he rest in peace, because that is a giant fuck no. And it is too huge what they pulled. And they know it, and I know it, and we parted ways. And that was that. And I walked.
I understand. I've been there. The last time that happened to me, I will not stand either for my M&Ms not being separated by color like they promised. I am all about that, and I get it.
It's in your artist agreement.
Right. Writer, director, and producer. Is that all now encompassing of what you do in the current collective skill set, or do you choose, like, I'm gonna do one today, I'm gonna do one tomorrow, today and tomorrow being relative terms for this job, that job, but are you bouncing around between different roles, or is it all, like, as you've gone in your career, is it all merged into one massive Steve?
I think it's merged into one massive Steve. I will say, I'm like, again, referencing 70s, my favorite shows. Charlie's Angels. When Charlie calls and says he has a writer's job, I go to the writer's job. Whatever it is. The easiest comfort zone for me, maybe not easiest, but my favorite place is the writing. That's my favorite. And I just, the lovely group who I left 7 months ago called me a month and a half ago needing a rescue on something. I'm not bragging. They couldn't figure it out. And they said, can you do this for us? And it's not the people who did what they did. It's my direct friend who was the person I used to work for, who I adore. And I said, sure. And that's where I'm happiest and I'm most comfortable. But to me, and I say this all the time, you know, for what I do and what I've always done, whether it's plays or web series or podcasts or promo marketing, whatever it is, it starts on the page. You have to start with a concept, a written down concept. And that's what just happened with them. They were off to shoot something in jolly old England. And,
didn't have a concept?
They had a concept, but they didn't have the script.
No script.
And so they sent me the concept and
I know that's ridiculous.
They asked me to script it, but don't be fooled. I have worked for many a company that have zero concepts, schedule a shoot day, and have told me, go direct the shoot. And I go, okay, what are we shooting? What's happening? What are we doing? And they'll tell me, oh, get a bunch of beauty shots of the cast and we'll figure it out backwards. Isn't that what doesn't Shonda Rhimes do it that way? Isn't that how?
I don't care. If she does, then it's perfect because Shonda Rhimes is fucking perfect. Are you kidding me? Holy shit. That woman has all my love.
Wow.
She is incredible.
She is?
Well, now I'm jealous because you promised me something.
Oh boy.
You're my podcast husband.
She didn't give you separated M&Ms. She does not in love with you anymore.
I know.
Listen,
it's time for you to quit.
Time for me to
Does she really do that? I have to research that now. I'm like a
separate M&Ms. No, that was
deep. No.
I think it's like a what is it? An urban myth about Aerosmith or Rolling Stones or somebody. Part of their writer was that they want their Skittles separated by color.
Mariah Carey did it.
It was a rock star. I want to
Really?
say she probably did, but like I want to say like Dave Grohl or somebody. So here's the reason I know that. This is funny, and maybe it's funny. When my oldest daughter turned 7, now I was an professional event planner back in those days, and I had my ex-spouse's income, which was really helpful. I used to throw really big fucking birthday parties for my kids. So we rented out a nightclub. And we had...
For a 7-year-old.
Yeah. It was a daytime party. It wasn't at night. And we had Olivia's rock and roll birthday bash, right? So we did it all. I brought in, you guys probably do not know who Ralph Covert from Ralph's World is, but he's a very popular children's musician. We brought him in to sing, and we deconstructed all of the goodie bags so it looked like a merch counter, and there was an open bar for the parents, and she had her own logo, and we had jewelry and t-shirts and bags, and it was really fun. But we had writers on the wall, and she still has it hanging on her bedroom wall. The artist requires only red and yellow peppers, no green peppers allowed on the premises. Like, we took all of that from one of these star writers, and I want to say maybe it was Pearl Jam.
No green peppers.
It was M&M's. You're right. It was M&M's. But we just did it like just to be fun and silly. And yeah, it was cool. I can throw a mean fucking party.
The Red Hot Chili Peppers say no M&M's, only peppers. Only.
But wait, peppers. Do you know that a red pepper, a yellow pepper, and a green pepper are all the same peppers? Did you know that?
Yes, but do you know that they really don't taste the same? Because if you taste a green pepper and then a yellow, orange, or red, they taste different.
Yes, but a green pepper is just not ready. A yellow is middle, and then a red is ready, and an orange are ready to go. I never knew that. I thought they were fucking 3 different things.
Yeah. We grow them in our garden.
Oh, I have a composter.
In the suburbs of Chicago.
Come over.
Bring your used food over, and then he'll compost.
Yeah, bring your shit over. Come on, we'll put it in the composter.
We're gonna have a
Come on, I'll just pop on over. We'll just walk on over as soon as we're done here. Yeah, it's good.
You know what I loved about the
Steve?
story you just told is that your way you told about Ralph, because we talk about cozy murders, I just was thinking like, and then we kidnapped him and we forced him to perform it for my daughter on her birthday.
We did not. We paid him good money.
Going back to stories, Steve, you never told the part where the security guard got out of your car, so I figure the security guard went with you to ABC.
He's still in it.
Or is still in your car.
He's still there. It's 18 years later.
I know. I was waiting for and the security guard got out, but no, never came. So
I go to Trader Joe's and every now and then I'll get him like a power bar and be like, you're fine. I cracked the window.
You're like, thank you, Steve. Thank you. I appreciate it. And why did he turn into Elvis?
About the musical mashups, because the names, I even heard Alan giggle as I read them out loud. Those are fun. Can you tell us what led to those, and are you going to do more? I mean, come on, Jesus Christ Super Star Wars.
And does Tim Rice ever know about this? Because we know Tim Rice.
Okay. So, all right. So everyone, there's this thing called parody that allows you to not pay royalties. Okay, everyone.
Yes.
Let's just start there.
Yes.
I don't need Lucasfilm coming after me.
Alan and I recently talked about parody because some colleagues of ours have been in that.
Not free use. Parody is not free use.
Yeah.
Well, my friend Danny at the time, he and I were just, I don't remember where we were, but we were talking, and we were talking about doing new, we used to do shows all the time, theater. I used to put things up, and I hadn't put anything up in like a few years, and he was kicking around some ideas. He said he wanted to do this thing called the double feature. And I said, okay, what is it? And he said, it's where we do a mashup, because he liked to take titles and put them together. So he came up with Jesus Christ Super Star Wars, which laid me out. I just thought that was fucking brilliant, hilariously funny. And we sat down one day and we were just like coming up with titles. And I was just going, now this is 2002 or 3, everybody. So there were no smartphones. I was just going through what I call my brain, trying to remember musicals. And The King and I came up with, and I fucking love I Know What You Did Last Summer. And it just came out of my mouth. I said, The King and I Know What You Did Last Summer. And we both cracked up laughing. Well, I wrote The King and I Know What You Did Last Summer. He wrote Jesus Christ Super Star Wars. I think I remember I got stuck somewhere along the line, and I handed it off to him. He handed me what he did for Jesus Christ Super Star Wars. He did it to the letter, like the beat by beat of both musical and movie. It was like,
oh wow,
it was long, everybody. It was like 100 pages. And I was like,
about our wood anymore, right?
No.
Okay.
No. That's long gone.
Okay.
And I'm older than you. Why are we even joking about this? Jesus Christ. Okay. So, I am the king of cutting.
I am a hot-blooded American male.
I cut shit left and right. Cut. I'm going to cut this. Don't worry. I cut down Jesus Christ Super Star Wars. He figured out the end of The King and I Know What You Did Last Summer. At the time, I was working at Bravo and Days of Our Lives, the soap opera, we shared the same parking lot. My parking space was directly next to an actress named Judy Evans, who is still on the show. She used to get out of her car with her dog. She'd bring her fucking dog to work for her dressing room. And this dog jumped all over me. I fucking loved her dog. So we'd walk in together almost every morning because she got in around the same time I did. And I just hit her up one day and I said, hey, will you read this? I literally handed her like the paper printed out version of The King I Know What You Did Last Summer. She read it and 2 days later said, I want to be in that. And we just started casting it, and we did it. We put it up. It was a success. It wasn't that big of a success, everybody, because it's little theater's tough. And I will say, as I always say, opening night, closing night, sold out. The rest of it, meh. We had a great time. It was really silly and really insane. And I think my favorite part that I wrote in The King and I Know What You Did Last Summer, because it was so non sequitur, is Anna is meeting the children, and 3 kids come out, and they stomp out and they announce their names, and we made a little song for them. And she's like, oh my gosh, there's just so many of them. I've lost count. And one of the other characters just turns around and goes, "There's 3 of them." And I don't know why that made me laugh, but it like the audience exploded every night. Like, "There's 3 of them." So yeah, that was the King and I. There is no plans to risk being sued again, but I am putting. You enjoyed that, Heather? Wow.
No, it made me laugh, and then I snorted loudly, and then
just dumb. It's dumb comedy.
I started laughing, and sorry. Oh, it's been a long week. It is dumb. It is funny. I actually love The King and I, so I get the joke. I don't know. Maybe that's why.
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned for more of the episode. And now we're back.
Well, in The King and I Know What You Did Last Summer, which was really fun, she invites her 3 best friends. It's Annie from Annie, Maria from The Sound of Music, and Grizabella from Cats over.
Cats.
They do a bunch of drugs. They get in a car. We played "Get Out of My Dreams, Get Into My Car" by Billy Ocean, and then
That's
they drive
amazing.
over the King of Siam and kill him, and then they bury the body. And then a year later, they start getting the letters that say, "I know what you did last summer. I know what you did last summer. I know what you did last summer." And then the other part, and you can cut all this, but if you find it enjoyable, the other part that cracked us up is I wrote in this one part, which I still am so proud of myself for writing. My friend Victoria played Maria from The Sound of Music. They're like, "Did you get the letter?" And all 4 of them go, "Yes, I got the letter. Oh my God, I got the letter. Oh my God, the letter." And Maria's just standing there smoking. She's, the nun smoking. And Anna turns and goes, "All right, Maria, why aren't you freaking out right now?" And she goes, "Well, what the fuck am I supposed to be freaking out about?" She goes, "I got the letter. I know what you did last summer. Doesn't going to do anything about it." She just tosses the letter. And
I'm not scared.
that's the part of of "I know what you did last summer" that always made me laugh. Is like, so you got a fucking letter that said, "I know what you did." So
where's the hook?
Congrats.
Where's the hook? Why? Where's my motivation? Why do I care?
But that is the last show I put up. That was 2004, 2005. And this March, 18 years later, my new show, Happy Birthday McKenna, is going up for 4 weekends in Hollywood. I've already booked the theater. And it is a very, very dark, wrong family comedy. And I'm really excited about it. So that's the next thing I'm working on.
Well,
that's cool. How did that come about?
My agent
18 years is a long time. Yeah.
My agent's telling me you're asking me to audition. So when I find the time, I'll get you that. I'll get you that self-tape.
please send in for the completely wrong person.
He
are you an actor?
Wants to be in your show. Yeah.
Yes.
But are you an actor?
By loose definition, yes.
He's got a theater degree.
No, I don't.
You're really selling yourself right now.
I gotta computer. Okay, you want to make this about me for a second? Let's make it about me. Now you know I'm an actor.
I have a theater degree. Maybe I should audition.
I got a computer science degree and fell back because on it during the writer's strike in 2007, which maybe you remember, Steve. So I was acting professionally in musical theater, moved to New York, and there was nothing to audition for because it was November of 2007, and I've been in New York now coming up on 15 years and have never acted in New York because I've been doing computer-ish things ever since, getting into all the entertainment along with it. So there you go. There's my very long story.
But he really wants to be in a show, so...
Yeah, like so bad.
He would really like to be in yours.
If I'm doing my authentic self, then I got to call in a favor here and get in somebody's show.
Well, my show's in Hollywood, California. How are you going to handle that if we cast you?
Well, I can.
What about those kids and that day job?
They'll be fine. They'll be fine. It'll all be fine for 4 weekends.
How old are the kids?
Well,
by that point, they'll be 6 and 8.
Oh, you just leave a pound of chopped meat in the middle of the kitchen on the floor.
Yeah.
They'll be fine.
They'll be fine.
What could possibly go wrong?
I just pound of chopped meat and some Pokemon cards, and they'll entertain themselves for days.
Well, maybe we can go and see the show at least, Alan. That'd be fun.
Why are you talking me out of his audition mindset?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't
How could Alan
me.
audition for your show?
Don't friend zone me on this one.
Well, my very good friend Faith Saley, who I mentioned earlier, who is a correspondent on CBS Sunday Morning, we met because she's an actress as well, and she wants to find off-Broadway or Broadway producers and do it in New York.
Steve, what led you to doing your podcast, A World Gone Good?
Oh, boy. I've told the story so many times on my show. It was
Sorry.
It's okay. No, it's okay. It is August 2020. The world is in the shitter. The pandemic is going nuts. We don't know who we're going to have as a president. We don't know if we're going to survive. We don't know what the hell is happening. I went out for a run, and I'm on one of my runs, and I'm walking to start to warm up and find a podcast, and I'm flicking through podcasts, and I cannot find a fucking podcast for me. Everything was annoying me. Everything was too many commercials or too many plugs of this thing that they were plugging or whatever it was. And I literally just said, oh my God, right out loud. I stopped and said out on the street, I just go, oh my God, can someone just make me a podcast about good things? And thus, that is what I did. I created a podcast called World Gone Good. And over 100 episodes later, we're still going. And that's where it all started.
What has been your favorite moment about podcasting that you look back on and you're like, I would have never expected that to take me here?
When Heather Vickery came on my show and then invited me on
Good
here.
show. Good answer. Good answer.
I think honestly, it's just reestablished my belief that this planet we are on is not as awful, horrible, shit-tastic as Twitter tells us that it is every single fucking day. And I think that for me, it took me back out of the hole of darkness. And what I did when I started is I had no clue what I was doing, but I knew how to edit. I knew how to record. And I thought to myself, all right, let me just see what I get. I actually recorded with 18 different people, some strangers, some friends. I wound up using, I think, 17 of 18 of them as shows. But just getting that influx again of humanity, real people doing little things, some in a big way. I mean, listen, I'm not going to lie. We've had, there's a guy named Murph, and he travels all over South America. He's huge on TikTok. He's called Murph's Life. He asks people online to donate, and within 5 minutes, I'm not kidding, not 5 minutes, but a day, he'll get 50 grand and he builds someone a house. And whoa. I randomly messaged him and said, hey, I'd love to have you on my show sometime. And he wrote me back and said, I'm free in 45 minutes. And I was How about now? And I was like, I've written nothing down, everybody. And he couldn't do, the stuff we're using. So I had to use Zoom, which I fucking hate. But I know. I love Zoom. Yay, Zoom. If they're a sponsor, I'm sorry.
Zoom's a pain in the ass. They're not.
Zoom's a pain in my ass. And the audio's for shit and it's a mess and whatever. But it's those moments of right in the moment, meeting someone and giving that spark back to me. And that's the best thing that it's done for me. I mean, I do the whole, you all know, I do the whole fucking thing myself. That security guard hasn't gotten out of the fucking car one time. He hasn't come in to help me one.
Guys, can you at least give me a cell phone to call my dog? Let's go.
Oh, I have some bad news about your dog. It's been 18 years. Oh, boy.
All right. There's one more question here that we'd like to ask, wrapping up our wonderful episodes. What is, looking back at your career and so much of it, what's one thing that you perceived as a failure at the time that you now realize was a chance for doing something really great?
So I'm 22 years old and I am the intern at General Hospital. And sometimes I had to work late because there was a lovely woman named Joan, loved her to death. She was the receptionist and she left right at 5 o'clock. And then a different intern had to take over from like 5 to 8 and answer the phones in case anything came through from the networks, right? But you also had to get dinner delivered to the producers. So I had the dinner order, put it in, dinner arrives, and I walk it down. It's like a 7:45, whatever. It's like 7:45 at night. Who cares? I walk into Wendy Rich's office. She is the executive producer of the show. And I put her dinner down and I ask her if she needs anything else. And she goes, no, I'm good. And she's working on her computer. And I start to leave and she goes, hey, And I turn around and she goes, what is your name again? And I said, Steve. And she nods at me and she goes, Steve, what is it? What are you? What do you do? And I get this big, bold, like, okay, this is it, everybody. This is my moment. And I say, I'm a writer. And she says, really? What have you written? And I say, because I hadn't written a goddamn thing. And she just looks at me and opens her dinner, takes a bite of her dinner and goes, go home and write, Steve.
Oh.
And I left.
Wow.
It's good advice.
It was the most devastating holy fuckness that ever happened in my life. But it was the most powerful advice because it was so fucking simple. I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. Stop eating and go to the gym. I don't want to be an alcoholic. Stop drinking. It's not that difficult, everybody. You just sometimes need to hear from somebody else. And again, talk about chance. Flash forward close to, I want to say 20 years, 19 years later, I'm on a plane. And a woman is walking up and down the aisle and she's got a little BlackBerry or whatever she's writing on. And I look up and I think to myself, that's Wendy. I haven't seen her since 1992. It had to be like 2010. And she went back down and sat down. I went down the aisle, turned around. I squatted down. I said, are you Wendy Rich? And she said, I am. And I said, you will not remember me at all. I said, I worked at General Hospital in 1992. And she said, I'm sorry, I don't remember you. I said, well, let me tell you. And I told her the story back. And she sat there crying.
Oh.
And her sister was sitting next to her, and her sister kept going, yep, that sounds like you. You're such a fucking bitch. That's what you'd say to somebody at court. Like they're total New Yorkers, right? And then Wendy took my hand and said, I'm so sorry, Steve. I have such a big mouth sometimes. And I said, what are you sorry about? Is the best advice anyone's ever, you made it so simple. And guess what? I did what you said. I went home and wrote. And guess what? It all worked out. I said, and any time I get stuck or I think I can't do something, I just remember back to 22-year-old me getting his nuts chopped off in not in public, but by somebody I wanted to impress. And she just made it so simple.
Wow.
And that's the moment of my life, my professional life, that I will never, ever, ever forget. And anyone else could have walked out of there and said, that fucking bitch, fuck her. You know, no. It was the best moment of my life.
That's so
great.
cool.
Yeah, I love that. And so that's a really great segue into how do people connect with you? How can they get your little cozy murder book when it comes out? If they want to, find you on TikTok and you're on Instagram and how can people find you and follow you and read all the amazing things you write and come see your play and all that good stuff?
Well, we just got the website hbmplay.com. It stands for Happy Birthday McKenna. That's the name of the show. HBM, I don't think anything happens when you go there right now because we haven't put jack shit up on it, but it will be sometime, soon. You can find us, my podcast, at worldgonegoodpodcast.com. Everything's right there. Wherever you listen to podcasts, World Gone Good. On Instagram, we're at World Gone Good Podcast. But yeah, come join us. Come have some fun with us. And my book, I don't know. Look for me on Good Morning America. I don't fucking know. We'll see. I'm putting that out there.
When is the book supposed to come out?
I'm hoping it'll come out 6 months, maybe 6 months. I'm going to go down the whole publishing route, try to find myself a lit agent. And I used to have one.
I mean, you got more connections than most people do, so go get it.
Yo, that agent is lit.
Ooh, and with that, folks, we're going to say thanks so much, Steve. This was fun. I laughed so hard I snorted, so it's been a good day.
Thank you so much for having me, putting up with me.
Thank you.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you. You guys go and follow Steve. Listen to World Gone Good. It's a lot of fun. You'll feel good when it's over. So thanks. Bye, Steve.
Thanks, everybody.
Steve. Alan. I can't believe we didn't bring that old gopher meme into our conversation. It didn't occur to me until now.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Really?
Really?
It's a gopher that pops its head up and it's making its noise like and then someone has dubbed over Alan like, and then he's like, oh, Alan's not here. Steve. Anyway,
nope.
I'm gonna insert it right now.
Alan. Oh, so that's not Alan. Steve. Steve.
And we're back.
You never know what you're going to get with your new episode of Was It Chance, folks. You never know. It could be Heather snorting. It could be random gophers. It could be anything. Steve is a really funny guy.
I love that he is all about, like, he's writing now, he's podcasting, he's putting himself out there, and his whole career is based on creating for others, and now he's doing it for himself. So it's this nice shift that I think at our old age of 25 that of course we need to see ourselves doing, right?
You know what? It feels to me like if you're going to be in this line of work, in this line of creative work, he's in this beautiful sweet spot of having the ability to do these things that he loves and then just jet on over and save the day on this or that show. Pop in for a month or two and write something and add to that IMDb resume and then go back to your cozy little room or murder novel.
You know what's cool about this is that it kind of exposes how shows get made, in that there's writers literally who are hired just for one episode or multiple, like an episode arc. You know, he'll come in, swoop in for 1 to 2 months, save the show. You put in air quotes of like, ratings are down a little bit. I guess we need some more. And so write in like this crazy story arc that then brings it all back and then moves on to the next one. It's kind of like the mercenary writers of Hollywood. You know?
Yeah, it was fun. And I think it'd be really fun if his play, Happy Birthday McKenna, comes to New York and you guys get to collaborate.
Fuck yeah. That's
right?
it. That's going to happen.
Make some shit happen.
Chance? It was in chance. It was
chance.
kismet. It was chance.
Kismet.
That's the subtitle of this podcast. It was kismet.
It was kismet. We have a good time. That's all I know.
Yes. Well, I love now that this is the second Twitter friend that you've brought into real life. So I'm gonna need to learn from this and just start liking people's random tweets, and then I guess in return start tweeting.
Yeah, I mean, you got to start conversation, right? Like we started real conversation and we follow each other's stuff, and then the next thing you know, you kind of feel a camaraderie and you go, well, hey, let's do something together. Let's connect outside of this little bird box, and you never know what's going to happen. Folks, if you like listening to Was It Chance, we have a couple of requests. First is tell us that you like it. Go onto your favorite podcast app, subscribe, follow, like, rate, review, do all that stuff. It helps other people find us, and it just warms our tiny little hearts and makes us feel happy. So please do that.
You can find us on Instagram at Was It Chance. You can email us at wasitchancepodcast@gmail.com. And of course, find us on the web at wasitchance.com.
We really do want to hear from you. We'd love to know what chance you're taking. What kind of intentional risk are you embracing for your creative life, your happiness, and your success? You've been listening to Was It Chance, about embracing intentional risk for your creative life. I'm Heather Vickery.
And I'm Alan Seal.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Adios.